Hi everyone, today we are going to start 3.1, which is identifying pairs of lines and angles. Parallel lines. Parallel lines are two lines that never intersect and are coplanar. And we know lines are parallel if we see this marking here. These arrows mean that those lines will never touch. Parallel planes are two planes that will never intersect, and so here are some examples. If we look at this cube here, we see that this plane and its opposite plane, which would be this one here, would be parallel. So if you were to extend those, the planes would never ever cross. Skew lines, you might have never heard this term before. Two lines that never intersect, but they are not coplanar. So, for example, if we're looking at a cube, this line here and this back line here, they're going to just miss each other. So you kind of have to visualize this. They are just going to miss each other. They will never collide. So those are called skewed lines. Same thing in this example here. If we have this line extending and this line here extending, they will just pass underneath each other. They will never collide. So those are skew lines. And finally, this one's a little bit easier to see how one is just underneath the other. If we were to extend those lines, they still would never touch. So they are not coplanar and they will never intersect. That's what skew lines are. So like I stated before, small directed triangles that are shown in diagrams. Those are used to show that lines are parallel. So if you want to read this here, it just kind of tells you that lines M and N are parallel. Lines M and K are skewed lines. Plane T and U are parallel planes. Lines K and N are intersecting lines, and there is a plane not shown containing them. Here are two postulates you need to make sure you know. The first one is the parallel postulate, and that just says if there is a line and a point not on the line, there is exactly one line through the point parallel to the given line. So all that's saying is that there's exactly one line through P parallel to L. So if you look at this diagram, we have line L, which I'll highlight. If we have some point P floating around it, it is possible to create that red line, which is just a parallel line to the purple line. And postulate 14, the perpendicular postulate. If there's a line and a point not on the line, there is exactly one line through the point perpendicular to the given line. So all that's saying, once again, is there is exactly one line through P that can be perpendicular to line L. So if we look at this diagram, I have line L and some point P floating above line L. I can draw one line, which is this red line, that will be perpendicular, which means 90-degree angle, to the purple line. A transversal. A transversal is a line that intersects two or more coplanar lines at different points. So this line right here, line L, would be my transversal. It intersects and cuts line M and N. So two lines intersecting by a third line, that means that 8 angles are going to be formed. And if you look at our diagram, we see all the angles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. These angles are going to have names, and they're going to be very important in this chapter. Angles formed by a transversal. The first type of angles we're going to talk about are interior angles. Interior, I always think of the word inside. So if we look at our diagram, our interior angles are blue here, which is 3, 4, 5, and 6. We see that they are inside these two lines. They're in the middle. so that's why they are called interior angles. So angles between the two lines when cut by a transversal. And then finally, exterior line or exterior angles. I sort of think of the word exit. You know, exit is going outside. So exterior angles are those angles that are outside of the lines, which would be angles 1, 2, 7, and 8. So exterior angles are angles outside the two lines when cut by a transversal. Please make sure you write this out in your notes and you draw this picture. Corresponding angles. Corresponding angles are angles that have corresponding positions, the same position. So looking at our diagram here, we see a group of 4 angles here and a group of 4 angles here. So corresponding angles are angles that are in the same position in that group of 4. So for example, angle 1, and I'll circle this, and angle 5 would be corresponding angles. The reason they are both in the upper left-hand corner. Next, angle 2 and angle 6 would be corresponding angles. I'll circle those, angle 2 and angle 6, because those are both in the upper right-hand corner. Which angle would correspond with angle 3? Well, it would be angle 7. And then finally, angle 4 and angle 8. Those would be corresponding angles. Alternate interior angles. Remember, interior means inside. Alternate means opposite. So if I had angle 4, and I'm going to circle this, that's interior. It's inside the two lines. The opposite interior angle of angle 4 would be angle 6. They're opposites on the transversal. Okay, so next if I look at angle 3, because that's also an interior angle, and I'll circle that, what would be the alternate interior angle to angle 3? It would be angle 5. So angle 4 and 6 are alternate interior angles, and angle 3 and 5 are alternate interior angles. Next, we're going to look at alternate exterior angles. Remember, exterior are the angles on the outside of the two lines, M and N, and alternate just means opposite. So if I look at angle 1, which is an exterior angle, so angle 1, the alternate exterior angle would be then angle 7. Now let's look at angle 2. What would be the alternate exterior angle to angle 2? It would be angle 8. And lastly, consecutive interior angles or same side interior. So we're going to go back to our interior angles. And if I look at angle 3, a consecutive interior angle or same side interior angle would be angle 6. So angle 3 and angle 6 are consecutive angles. So if I look at angle 4, which would be the consecutive angle to angle 4, it would be angle 5. Identify all the pairs of the given type. So corresponding is for A, B is alternate interior, C is alternate exterior, and D is consecutive interior. I'm going to pause the video for a second. Hopefully you pause it as well. That way you can kind of name all these different parts on your own and see how you do. So please pause the video. So hopefully you paused the video and you wrote these out. So I did already kind of write out the answers for you. So A is all in purple here. Those are the corresponding angles. B is in red here. Those are the alternate interior angles from our diagram. C is green here, and those are the alternate exterior angles with the diagram. And finally, D, those are the consecutive or same side interior angles, and those are blue. Finally, we're going to classify the number of classify the pair of numbered angles. So if I look here, I see 1 and 5. We need to decide what type of angles are they. Are they alternate interior, alternate exterior, same side interior, or corresponding? And the correct answer here is corresponding. With our group of 4, 1 and 5 are in the same cluster, so they are the top right or top left-hand corner, so they are corresponding angles. How about 2 and 7 here? This would be alternate exterior angles. They are outside of the 2 lines here, and they are on the opposite sides, alternate exterior angles. And finally, 5 and 4, what type of angles would those be? They are alternate interior angles. If we look at our 2 lines, these are inside, and they are on the opposite sides of the transversal, alternate interior angles.